Welcome to creating a simple cutout animation part 2. This is just a continuation from part 1. As mentioned in part 1, all the animation is being performed by Stacy Eberschlag, and right now he's in the middle of creating all of his key poses. So as mentioned in the previous video, you can use the keyboard shortcuts semicolon and apostrophe to scroll through the keyframes in your timeline view. After selecting a body part in the camera with the transform tool, you can use the keyboard shortcut B to go up the hierarchy chain, or you can use the keyboard shortcut Shift B to go down the hierarchy chain and select the child. You can also use the keyboard shortcuts, the left or right square bracket to scroll through extra drawings that belong to a specific body part, such as the hands. Using the transform tool, you can select a body part in the camera view and rotate it from its natural pivot point, or you can use the transform tool to temporarily displace its pivot and use that temporary pivot point to rotate a body part as you see fit. So you don't have to use the transform tool just to rotate. You can also use it to select a body part and or its hierarchy chain and then move it or displace it in the camera view from its previous pose to a new position. You can also use the keyboard shortcut, either number 4 or number 5, to flip a body part horizontally or vertically in the camera view. These buttons also exist in the Transform Tools Tool Property panel. So now that Stacy's finished creating about 7 key poses, he's at that point where he's going to start pulling the keyframes apart and spreading them out along the timeline. And that's to give them a different pacing, a different timing, so we can anticipate some of the moves, and other moves will happen very quickly and rapidly. So he does that by selecting the 3rd to 7th keyframe and pulling them apart, so now there's a space between the 2nd and the 3rd keyframe. And also the 2nd and 3rd key pose. And the button that he just pushed, the 5th button in the timeline view, is the set motion keyframe button. So now the keyframe that he created is a motion keyframe. So if it gets pulled apart from the rest of the group, if you drag it down the timeline, an arrow will appear between it. So it's the 3rd and the 4th one. As the computer will start to create tweening or interpolation between those keyframes. He's also adding keyframes in the space created between 2 pre-existing keyframes. What that's acting as is sort of a stopper. It's holding a frame, it's holding the pose of a frame to last for 2 frames, basically. So what he's doing now is he's looking to customize his timeline view toolbar. And you do that by right-clicking anywhere on the toolbar and selecting the menu item Customize. And from the left side, you have a bunch of commands that have an icon that you can then move to the right side of that window, and that icon will then appear in your toolbar. The icon that he chose was Show Group, and what it does is it hides and shows specific types of layers. So because he now hid the group, even though the Karate Rabbit still belongs in a group, that actual group layer has been hidden in the timeline, and so now we just see the master peg for the Karate Rabbit without that little box icon that indicated that it also was attached to an entire group. So as you can see, an arrow just appeared between, I believe it's the 6th and 7th keyframe, but then Stacy clicked on the 6th icon in the timeline view toolbar, and what that did is it turned the keyframe into a stop motion keyframe. So he essentially deleted the tweening or the interpolation between those 2 frames. And as he keeps selecting keyframes and dragging them, if they are motion keyframes, which by default I think they're set to, interpolation will, in the form of an arrow, will be placed between two keyframes. And so anywhere where there's interpolation, it seems that Stacy's adding a keyframe so that it's computer generated, but something where he can go in and actually tweak and make changes to. So Stacey just selected 5 keyframes and then clicked on the stop motion keyframe button, effectively removing the tweening in between. So now what that means is there's a pause or a space between each of those keyframes. So each of those keyframes are being held for 2 frames each. And now he's using a combination of the red playhead to scrub back and forth and to see his poses in motion, or the play button at the top So I don't know if you're watching, but Stacey just grabbed this small black triangle at the top of the timeline. And what that does is it limits the range of playback. So if you don't want to play back for the entire duration of this scene, which is marked by a red bar close to your last frame, it grays at all the frames after it, what you can do is play with those two little black triangles to select a range to play back. So it looks like we're reaching the 50-minute mark, which means I'm going to end this video. It's just a random cut based on the length of these entire 3 sequences, but it's going to continue right off from where we left off in the next video, part 3.